Good evening and welcome to Midnight Movie Club and another Doctor Sleep video. In tonight's video, we'll be exploring the True Knot and their turning process. We will also delve into one of the True Knot members, Snakebite Andi, how she becomes one, and a little bit about her past. Of course, once again, spoilers ahead for the book and possibly the film if any of what I go over is closely adapted. Also, a little disclaimer, this video will contain information on a character who was sexually abused as a child, so if that is disturbing for you, then please click off the video now. Now in the trailer we have seen the turning of Snakebite Andi as Rose the Hat exhales steam from her mouth to Andi's. She also does this by a campfire in front of the rest of the True Knot as they have all gathered to witness the initiation. But now diving into what happens in the book, let's kick it off and get to know Snakebite Andi a little bit better before she turns and why she was selected to become one of the True. Her name was Andrea Steiner, and she liked movies, but she didn't like men. This wasn't surprising as her father had raped her for the first time when she was only 8 years old. He then went on to continue raping her for the same number of years after that. Eventually, she had to put a stop to it. She first popped his balls one after the other with one of her mother's knitting needles and then put the same needle in his left eye socket while it was still red and dripping. The balls had been easy because he was sleeping, but the pain had been enough to wake him up, in spite of her talent. Her special ability. She was a big girl though and he was drunk. She was big enough to hold him down and deliver the needle to its final destination. Now she was a wanderer, making her own way in the world. She enjoyed movies as movies took you away. You could count on popcorn and happy endings. In the book, we meet up with Andrea as she is in the movies on a date with a man watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. Her date then inspects her tattoo on her upper left arm, a snake, a rattler. She got it in San Diego a year after killing her father. It was 2 PM on a weekday. The theatre was mostly deserted at this time, but 3 people sat 2 rows back from Andrea and her date. These 3 people were Rose the Hat, the leader of the nomadic family, the True Knot. Beside her was Barry the Chink and Grandpa Flick. They were keeping a close eye on Andrea, scouting her talents. Rose was not at all impressed at first. As she said, her ability better be interesting, as she is not all that steamy, referring to how much steam she contained. It is thought as people who shine grow older, their steam decreases. But Barry then told her to look on eagerly. Eventually, Andrea leaned over to her date's ear and whispered to him, "Aren't you tired? Don't you want to go to sleep?" Her date's head immediately dropped and he began to snore, thus showing us Andrea's shining ability. She had the ability to put people to sleep through suggestion. Andrea then took $200 from the man's wallet and got out of there, while Rose, Barry and Flick watched on. Rose said, "Okay, I'm convinced, let's give it a shot." But just before they moved in on Andrea, she done one last thing. She made the man sleep deeper and deeper before convincing him all pain he felt was just a dream. She then slashed 2 V's onto his cheek as a reminder of her. The True at first looked on in admiration, then finally moved in. Grabbing Andrea with a psychic grasp, they said, "You're coming with us," and they took her to their camp on the outskirts of the city. When Andrea, now referred to as Andi, wakes up, she is given tea by Rose, who has a chat with her and offers her a place within her nomadic tribe. She explains to her that they haven't offered anyone a position in the True for over 20 years and that she should not take the decision lightly. Andi then asks what they would do if she said no. She asks, Will they kill her? Will they take her steam? Where Rose responds, no, you don't have enough steam to bother with. And with what you have, it would be far from yummy. It would taste the way meat from an old cow tastes to a rube. Remember, a rube is what the true knot call mortals who don't shine. She then says they won't kill her, but they'll wipe all memory she has of her encounter with them. Rose then goes on to threaten her a little more by saying they would also take her ability, so next time she suggests someone go to sleep, they will turn to her and ask what she is talking about. This gave Andi a tickle of fear. Andi lies about her age, but Rose can tell her true age, then tells her that in 10 years with the true, she will be years younger. Also, in 100 years, she will only feel 35, but this won't happen until she takes steam. But Rose did fail to mention that not everyone makes it through the turning alive. When Andi asked if the turning hurt, Rose lied right to her face and replied, not at all. Now the turning was about to commence. Andi lay down, bathed in the lights of the True's Winnebagos, awaiting her initiation. Rose knelt beside her, caressing her cheek, and said, no fear. No fear. Rose then called upon Silent Sadie, who went to the RV while the others formed a circle around her. No fear. Soon you'll be one of us, Andi. One of us, Rose continued to say. But she also thought to herself, not if you cycle out. If you do, we'll just burn your clothes and move on. Obviously, those who do not survive the turning cycle out into nothing, leaving only their clothes like the true do when they die. Sadie returned with a canister, handing it to Rose, who removed its red cap, revealing a nozzle and a valve. Andi felt like running, but she didn't. Rose then asked Grandpa Flick to lead them. He raised his hands and the rest raised theirs with him. The turning ritual had begun. We are the true knot, he said. We are the true knot, the others responded. What is tied may never be untied. Here is a woman. Would she join us? Would she tie her life to our life and be one of us? Rose then tells Andi to say yes, stuttering, but eventually Andi does. Yes. Rose turned the valve of the canister, which then released a small puff of silver mist. In the light evening breeze, it did not dissipate. It hung around just above the canister, to which Rose then blew gently on it, as then it stayed just above Andi's face. Grandpa Flick continued leading the chant, we are the true knot and we endure. Sabathahante, the others responded. The mist lowered slowly. We are the chosen ones, Lord Samhante. Rose then told Andi to breathe deep. She kissed her, then said, I'll see you on the other side. Maybe. We are the fortunate ones, Kahana, Rizon, Hante. The chanting continued. Andi inhaled the steam, and as she did, it came to some sort of life and began screaming inside her. A child made of mist, whether a boy or a girl, she did not know, was struggling, but someone was cutting. Rose was cutting, while the others stood watching, shining their flashlights down, illuminating the slow motion murder. Andi tried to get up, but she had no body to get up with. Her body was gone. All that remained was the shape of a human being, the pain of the child's dying, and her own. Then, like a wet cloth against her burning pain, she heard, embrace it. Take steam or die. The True stood with their hands up, still chanting the old words. They watched Andi cycle in and out. They watched as her blouse where her breasts were flatten, her skirt puffed shut like a closing mouth. They watched her face turn to milk glass. Her eyes remained though, floating like tiny balloons on strings of nerve. The True continued to chant, but Andi kept flushing back into existence, then disappearing again. Rose hung on to Andi as she came back into existence, screaming. She told her to come back, honey doll. I know what you want, and if you come back, then you can have it. Rose could see Andi's bones in her arms and her hands as she grasped hers. Then, in a flash, they were dressed with flesh once again. Rose kissed her, and even in excruciating pain, Andi responded. Rose then breathed some of her very own steam essence down Andi's throat. She wanted this one, and what Rose wanted, Rose got. Andi disappeared once more, but Rose could feel her fighting it, trying to get on top of it. She had begun to feed herself with the screaming life force she had breathed down her throat and into her lungs. Instead of fighting it, she was taking steam for the first time. The turning was over, and when it was done, the newest member found herself spending the night in Rose the Hat's bed, finding something in sex other than horror and pain. Andi was now one of the true. The morning after, Andi asked Rose, "Am I still human?" To which Rose responded, "Do you care?" Andi decided she didn't. She was home. And that, ladies and gents, was the story of Snakebite Andi and the true knot turning process, for her at least. I found it to be one of the most fascinating parts of the novel, and I loved diving into the mythos and lore of the true knot. They really fascinated me. I cannot wait until we see how they pull all of this off in the film. I hope the visuals for the cycling and the steam are nearly as awesome as what I have in my head, because if that's the case, we're in for a treat. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you haven't already, then what are you doing? Subscribe to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.